In this lesson, we will set up our lip controls. Let's move over to our front view and we'll create a square shape. Let's grab our line tool, we'll snap to grid. Let's press the S key to enable snapping and we'll go ahead and create our square shape. From there, we'll go ahead and close out our spline, exit our line tool. Let's go ahead and also turn off snapping. Alright, so from here, we'll move back to our perspective view. Let's go ahead and align this object over to our first envelope object that we set up earlier on. It's the one for the upper lip right here in the center. Alright, so once it's brought over, we'll then go ahead and grab our point level so we can start to scale this down a bit. I'll just start bringing this in. So remember, we want to make sure this is easy to select. We also want to consider the other objects that we'll need to create. So let's make sure that we have enough room. Great, and I'm not going to worry about moving the shape out just yet. So right now we just want to get a decent size for this. Because we're going to go ahead and create groups above these objects so we have an extra level of control so we can automate certain facial mechanics. And we'll learn about that in our next lesson, which is basically going to be our last topic. So we're just about finished. Okay, so once we have brought this over, it is then time to go ahead and reset its X form. And then we'll also go ahead and collapse it down. If you need to, go ahead and head over to your Modify panel and adjust its thickness. So I might bring that up just a little bit more. Alright, great. So from here, let's go ahead and hide the face. Now, we'll create our group. Let's go ahead and click on OK. We won't rename the group just yet. We'll now go ahead and open the group so we can select between it and our control. Now it's time to create copies of this object for the other envelope objects around the mouth. So the fast way to do that is to go ahead and select our group. We'll press Control Page Down to grab its entire hierarchy, which of course is our control. And then we'll go ahead and clone the object with Control V. Make it a copy, click OK. And the last thing we'd want to do is press Shift A to quick align it over to the next envelope object. So let's do that for the others. Again, we should already have everything selected, so all we need to do is go ahead and press Control V, make a copy, and press Shift A to quick align it to the next envelope object. I'll pause the video and take care of the others. Once we've managed to create a control for each envelope object, the next step is to make sure we can select these controls easily. So let's do this. Let's head over to our selection filter at the top and switch this to shapes. We can go to more of a side view, and now we can go ahead and grab all of our controls and take a look. Only those objects are selected. Now we can bring back our mesh, and we can go ahead and start moving these forward in the y-axis. Alright, great. So there we go. Now next, let's go ahead and spend the time making sure the pivot point is brought back to each envelope object. So I'll go ahead and hide the mesh again. And this is actually really simple to do. We can work with the hierarchy panel. So after grabbing the control object, we'd press Shift A, and then we'd go ahead and click on the envelope object to align back to. But we'd want to make sure we're in pivot mode when we do that. Otherwise, the object is going to move back, and then we have to do this step all over again. Alright, so if you're having trouble moving your pivot to the envelope object, remember we did change the selection filter. Let's move that back to all. Let's turn on Effect Pivot Only. And now let's go ahead and press Shift A and quick align over to the envelope object. Alright, great. So let's do that for the other controls. Again, after selecting the control object, we'll press Shift A and quick align it to its envelope object. So I'll pause the video and take care of the others. Alright, so once we've managed to correct each pivot point, we can now turn off Effect Pivot Only, and this would be a good time to rename our control and group objects. So again, really straightforward. We go in, grab our envelope object, copy its name, grab our control, paste, change BN to enum, and then we can go ahead and copy this name, grab the group next, and that's going to be grp_, and then we paste the name of our control. So let's do that for the others. Again, we just go in, grab our envelope object, let's go ahead and copy its name, grab our control, there we go. And now we can go ahead and paste the name of the envelope object, change the prefix. I'll copy this name and rename the group. So that's grp underscore and paste. So let's go ahead and do that for the other control objects. Again, I'll pause the video. Now once they have all been renamed, it's time to color code our controls. Let's go ahead and switch our selection filter back to shapes. Alrighty. So we'll just go in and grab all of the controls on our left half. Let's go ahead and find that shade of blue we've been using. And then on the right side, we'll go ahead and grab all of those controls. And we'll go ahead and find green. There we go. Alright, now the ones in the center, we'll go ahead and use that same shade of yellow. It was close. One above. Alright, there we go. So we're going to click on OK. Alright, great. So they're color-coded, they're renamed. We now need to make sure that all of the groups are linked over to the helpers that are constrained to all of our mouth planes. So if we were to bring back the hidden layer, we can go to wireframe mode. And what we're doing here is we're linking each of our groups, again, over to our helper. Might go ahead and set the selection filter back to all. We grab the group object, we grab our linking tool. Now, let's go ahead and link the group. Oh, I'll go ahead and find a better camera angle. There we go. So let's go ahead and link our group over to PT-CNS. Now, once we have created that link, we can then go ahead and press Control Page Down and freeze our transforms. Alright, so now, not only is the group clean, but the control is clean as well. So do that for the others. Again, we grab the group, we go ahead and link that over to our helper constrained to our surface. Now we can press Control Page Down, and then we can go ahead and freeze our transforms. Alright, wonderful. So let's go ahead and take care of that for the other controls. We're just about done. After we're done with this, we can then go ahead and work on linking our envelope objects over to our controls, because at that point, the controls will follow with our mouth, so we know that the envelope objects will follow properly. Alright, so let's go ahead and take care of linking our groups first, and I'll pause the video. So now that our groups have been linked and we have frozen our transforms, we can then prepare to link our envelope objects to our controls. So here's how this is going to be done. It might be easier to just go in and add all of our groups to the hidden layer, and then once we do that, we can go ahead and hide that so we can easily get to those envelope objects and have them linked to our controls. So right now I'm just going through and I'm control clicking every group. Not every group, just these groups. Alright, so we're just about done. Looks good. Alright, so from here, let's go ahead and have them added to the hidden layer. Let's now hide that layer. Alright, that's much better. Alright, so now we can go ahead and take each envelope object and link to our control. Once we do that, again, we can go in and freeze our transforms on the envelope object. If we bring our mesh back, you can see that everything's going to work just fine now when we grab our control. So we start to move that around. Take a look. Now we have a convenient way to control the lip. So let's go ahead and do that step. We're just about finished. We then want to make sure our controls are part of the controls layer, and then we can go ahead and work on locking down the axes that we would not want to move. And actually, we'd probably want to move in every axis because we might want to scale these controls. Again, for stylized characters, that might be ideal. Now, for a realistic character like this, you might lock down scale, but you know how to do that already. Now, I'm going to not lock anything down so that animators have full control over these lip controls. All right, so let's go ahead and make this our last step. We'll go ahead and make sure we link all of those envelope objects over to their controls, and then we can make sure those controls are stored in the controls layer. All right, so again, we go to the next envelope object, We link to the control, and now we can go ahead and freeze it to transforms. And then we can make sure that the control is a part of the controls layer. So I'm going to go ahead and end the lesson here. And in the next lesson, we're basically working on our last step, which is to kind of figure out how to automate certain facial shapes. So we'll go ahead and work with the Reaction Manager to do that.